Today I'm going to share with you this character. This month, actually, we have a series on life change, actually. Well, you put another way, how a person can come back, how God can turn one's life. Right. So this afternoon, we're going to look at this very important person called Naaman. I call him Naaman. Maybe you can pronounce it as Naaman or Naaman. I call him Naaman. This morning, actually, if you understand Mandarin, Pastor Ray preached the same character, but her message is slightly different from mine. But we are preaching from the same passage, so it cannot be too different. It's just that, got old ginger and young ginger. Okay? The young ginger preached this morning. The old ginger is preaching now. Okay? My title is Don't Go Away Empty-Handed. When I look at Pastor Ray, you remember Xi'an. About, I think 5 or 6 years ago, Richard, together with Michael, maybe you all know Michael, and some friends, I happened to have the opportunity to go to visit Xi'an for the first time for some ministry, assessment, and then after that, obviously, ministry assessment, after that, you must have fun. And then in Xi'an, what can you see? You only can see two things. You see the beautiful queen had died long ago and not very beautiful now. There is Yang Guifei. Or you go to the Terracotta Museum. The Terracotta Museum is really very awe-inspiring, very awe. You walk in, you see hundreds, different pits, and then the terracottas. And obviously, when we saw the terracotta, they are all bigger than me, stronger than me. Right? You all wish that they are your senior pastor. Really, this king really kiasu, After he died, he still needs so many clay figures to protect him, I mean, he could have better sense, right? Clay won't work well. So they actually reconstructed it very carefully, and none of them except for one, that were preserved. All the rest were in pieces. Then they painstakingly patched it up. But you know something? If the director of the museum were to tell Richard and all of us, say, hey, guys, you all come into this museum, all of you is entitled to take one piece of this, whatever you like, home. How about that? Like, take one piece from the museum. Let's say it's not possible, but just imagine you are able to. You know what I would take? I won't take the terracotta, I tell you. It's stupid. Take the terracotta. So big, go back home, no place to put. You will buy the small one. No, there's one that is very, very precious. The chariots. That chariot is really the ultimate there. They cannot even export that to other countries for exhibition. In China, there's first class antique you cannot export. If I can take anything from the museum, I will choose that piece. But then we all left empty-handed. So it was a disappointment. So once upon a time, there was this man called Naaman. He came all the way from Aram, which is Syria, to Israel. And he was supposed to seek something good for his life. In fact, very, very important for his life. And he almost returned home empty-handed. We can go to a place where all the treasures are. It's available for us. And we can lay our hands and we can take it. But on the other hand, we can still go away empty-handed. He almost left empty-handed. So today we're going to look at his life. It's a very short part. If we read 2 Kings, let me read for you 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 1 onwards. Now Naaman was commander of the army of the king of Aram, which is Syria. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded because through him the Lord has given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but he had leprosy. Verse 2, now bands of raiders from Aram had gone out and had taken captives a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, if my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy. Naaman went to his master, which is the king, and told him what the girl from Israel had said. And verse 5, By all means, go, the king of Aram replied. I will send a letter to the king of Israel. So Naaman left, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. The letter that he took to the king of Israel read, with this letter I am sending my servant Naaman to you so that you may cure him of his leprosy. Let me just pause here and, the king told the other king to cure his commander-in-chief of his leprosy. It's quite interesting, right? The king asking the other king to cure him of his leprosy. Now, verse 7. As soon as the king of Israel read the letter, he tore his robes and said, Am I God? Can I kill and bring back to life? Why does this fellow, he called the other king fellow, why does this fellow send someone to me to be cured of his leprosy? See how he's trying to pick a quarrel with me. So the king thought politically that he wanted to pick a fight, he wanted to start a war, but he had no reason. So how? You create a reason. Right? So in life, we all can create reason, and we can create crisis. So the king of Israel thought he is creating a crisis, finding fault with me, asking me to cure leprosy. Then verse 8. When Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his robes, he sent him this message. Why have you torn your robes? Had the man come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman went to his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. So obviously the story fast forward very quickly, right? From the palace, and then Naaman came to Elisha's house. Then verse 10, very interesting. Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored and you will be cleansed. But Naaman went away angry and says, he almost went away empty-handed. I thought that he would surely come out to me and stand out and call on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hand over the spot and cure me of my leprosy. This is how we pray for healing, right? Lay hand, right? But we don't wave, we press. If they don't fall, we press until they fall. Right? God anointing. Then verse 12. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed? So he turned and went off in a rage. Naaman's servant went to him and said, My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great things, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you, wash and be cleansed? Verse 14. So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. Then Naaman and all his attendants went back to the man of God. He stood before him and said, Now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel. So please accept a gift from your servant. Verse 16. The prophet answered, As surely as the Lord lives, whom I serve, I will not accept a thing. And even though Naaman urged him, he refused. If you will not, said Naaman, please let me, your servant, be given as much earth as a pair of mules can carry. For your servant will never again make burnt offerings and sacrifices to any other god but the Lord. Now, before we unfold the story, I want to tell you the universal truth. The universal truth is that the plight of man. The plight of man. Psalm 90, verse 10, what Moses wrote. He said, Our days may come to 70 years or 80. If our strength endures, yet the best of them are but troubles and sorrow, for they quickly pass and we fly away. If you read Chinese, this verse you quote in Chinese is fantastic. In your life, what can you boast? 劳苦愁烦，转眼成空. I tell you, preach it in a funeral wake, everyone eyes open. Okay? This is the plight of man. 70 years, if not 80. But indeed, in between is what? Troubles and sorrow. And they quickly pass, and we fly away. Is it not Naaman's life? You see, Naaman was what? He's a commander-in-chief. Powerful, status, greatly used by his king, but he has a problem that he cannot solve, right? He cannot solve. His plight. This is the plight of man. Today, all of us have some kind of plight. If it's not now, I can assure you, and I don't wish it to be tomorrow, but it will be sometime in the future. Is it not true? Some are already past, praise the Lord. But some may be still coming. But this is the plight of man. But does it mean that therefore we are hopeless and then we become, we just leave it to fate, so to speak? Well, no man is exempted from challenges in life, and none of us, including myself, right? See, only in heaven. By the way, when we are in some kind of plight, don't blame anybody. Don't blame the place we are in, the family we are born. Don't blame your father, your mother, etc., etc. In Revelation 21:4 says this. He says, He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. Now, so man can expect tears, death, crying, pain, and sorrow. But thank God, our plight does not stop here. Right? Today, we are blessed because we are children of God. So we see that, first of all, Naaman has a serious problem. Right? The story begins with he has a serious problem. How serious was his problem? He has leprosy. Now, someone said this. In Chinese, if money can solve problem, the problem can be solved by money, then that is not a problem. But it's half right. But whether you got money, if you've got no money, you cannot solve, right? So, but here's the problem. Money cannot solve. If you look at the money he brought to Israel, right? I tell that money can buy a few condos. Oh, no. You only can buy one condo in Orchard. Okay? Orchard Road, I mean. He had money, but money cannot solve his problem. Money is not a bad thing. Money is not immoral. Money is neutral. So don't think that, having money is bad. No. Riches is not bad. Money can do many things, but money cannot solve marriage problems. Money cannot solve your health problem. Money may not be able to solve many other problems. Like you can buy a house, but you cannot buy a home. You can buy a bed, but you may not buy you sleep. Right? This is the reality in life. So, money may not get you a cure. You can even go to the best specialist. If it's not in Singapore, then it is overseas. I don't care where. It may still be given a death sentence. I have a friend, and we are concerned for him. Doctor just told him, you have 3 more months. And by now, I shared with you, he has only about 2 months. But we are not going to believe the doctors. We are going to trust the Lord and going to pray for him. And we are going to see victory, and we believe. But money cannot get us cure. Secondly, not only has he got a money problem, not that money cannot solve. Status cannot solve Naaman's problem. Right? Status can solve problem. Status can solve problem. And is status wrong? Status, again, is not right or wrong. Let's say you are so-and-so. You are the important person. Now you realize that if you are an important person, things can be very convenient. Right? I shared with you before, I went to the Kofu there to queue up for food. Then by the time, buy coffee. By the time I want to pay money, the server say, someone in front of you, pay for you already. You see, the status, because I'm pastor. So I quite enjoy that kind of coffee because someone want to pay. You say, pay already. So that status is not bad, right? So continue to be a pastor. And make sure Kofu is nearby. Now see, status. One very important person say, he went to make custom make his shoe or his suit. He has special treatment. Everybody got so far, this one can be a political issue. But he said, but me. What's wrong? Because it's me. Is it not true? Sometimes because of your status, you do enjoy certain privileges. That's the fact of life. Don't say all things are equal. In life, never equal. Look at your fingers. Right? You can chop it off and then make it equal. No, even fingers cannot be equal. So status is not bad. Position in society can bring us convenience. But we don't abuse our position. We don't abuse our status. But status cannot solve his sickness. Right? He cannot say, oh, because I'm the commander-in-chief of Syria army, therefore I command so-and-so to heal me or whatsoever. No, sorry. In fact, I know important people in Singapore. They are really important people, I tell you. When they are so sick, when doctor gave them no hope, they want to come to seek God. They want to come and seek God. Why? Because at that point, your status, your position means nothing. And Naaman was in this position. Thirdly, power cannot solve Naaman's problem. Sometimes we think is power good again? No, power is not bad. Right? Power is not a bad thing. You must have power, But don't abuse power. Don't use power for the wrong purpose, right? But you know that you want to get things done, you need power. See, if a policeman do not carry a pistol, right? Let's say I'm the policeman, and I don't carry a pistol. Then if I talk to someone who is a 200-pounder, he'd be sniggling. But if I got a pistol, I don't care he's 300-pounder or 400-pounder, I will make 2 holes in his heart. So power is good. Power is good, but don't abuse it. Power can, if you don't have power, you cannot get things done, Right? Can you get things done without power? Don't be so naive. Sometimes we Christians are so naive, thinking that, money is bad, so status is bad, power is bad. No. They are all not bad. They are all neutral. It's only how you use it. You use it for good or you abuse it. And we must never abuse it. Never abuse our power. But power is good. But can power save him? Power can bring benefit, but power cannot solve all problems, especially physical problems. Healing is one of them. See, when Naaman came to the end of himself, money cannot solve, status cannot solve, power cannot solve. See, the end of man is the beginning of God. And this how this interesting episode unfolds, right? One day, he went to war, and among many things that they have looted, they have also captured probably many young boys, including others, to bring back to Syria to become imported foreign workers. Right? This one false one, not that they apply for visa. And among this, all that they brought back to Syria, there was this young maid, a servant maid, in Naaman's house. And so actually, it's very important in life how we deal with people, because who you met in our lives is very important. Who we met in our life is very important. In Chinese, we use the word 遇见贵人. Have you heard before? Now, don't think that 遇见贵人means it's superstitious, because we think about the 贵, that sounds like 鬼, No, 贵人 is a noble helper, someone who can really pave the way for you and make things easy. These are the blessed people we need in life. All of us need such people. All of us. And thank God, Naaman met 3. Pastor Ray shared 2. So he's a young ginger. I managed to squeeze one more. Okay? I managed to squeeze one more. So there are 3. Now, who have you met in your life? If you think back, well, up to this point in your life, who are the 贵人, who are the noble helpers in your life? Do you have any? I have. I'm sure you have, right? Let's say if without them, you know something? You may not be sitting here today. And one of them could be the one who shared the gospel with you. That is the ultimate 贵人. Right? If you not without that person, you will not be sitting here. I will not be sitting here. So we need noble helpers in our life. And praise God, Naaman met 3 of them. First, a slave girl the slave girl shows the way. Well, in 2 Kings 5, 2 and 3 say, now band of raiders from Aram had gone out and taken captives a young girl from Israel and served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, if only my master would see the prophet who is in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy. Now, you know something? Let me talk about the slave girl. If Naaman and the mistress normally mistreat this slave girl, you think the slave girl bothered to tell Naaman this? No. I like to imagine, and not only I imagine, I just, deduce, right? That Naaman and the wife treated this servant maid very well. Very well. That's why the servant maid has a heart for her mistress' husband. She was primarily serving the mistress. Right? And then because she knew that the mistress' husband, that's her master, had this problem. And she bothered to say this. Now, you see, the Bible does not record everything for us. But then we can imagine in the home what happened. Now, if I have heard some very fantastic story about domestic help in the home. At one time, I did not even hire domestic helper because I heard too much, And those who here don't do it, please. When they cook rice, they take the water from the toilet bowl. And then they take the baby head put it inside the toilet bowl and then flush. That's how they wash the bowl. I heard that before my son came along. I did not have one worker. That was what I heard. But I want to tell you this: all the domestic helper that we had never did that. I put camera at home. No, I didn't. But they never do that. You know why? No, I try not to be proud. But I said, if you treat them well, you treat them decently, they will respond accordingly. Is it not true? So Naaman and the wife must have treated this servant maid well. That's why this servant maid had a heart for the master. So remember, even for the 贵人, for the noble helper that you want to meet in life, make sure that you do not think that you and I can just behave anyhow we want and not be rude, etc., and then the noble helper will come. No. Instead of giving you fresh water, it will be water from the toilet bowl. Is it not true? So this maid told her how to go to get his leprosy healed. Now, let's look at the maid. Lowly in status, weak, alone in a foreign land. But you know something? She is the one who showed Naaman the way to salvation and the way to healing. So you see, regardless of our status, who you are, who I am, is not important. Sometimes people like to think, until I am so and so, until I'm given a title, until I am this or that, then I can do the job. The answer is no. It doesn't mean that, God cannot use a person seemingly lowly in stature, in status. God used her. In fact, she's the first key. First key. The rest of the story, without her, there will be no more story. No more story. She's the first key that unlocked, the first padlock. So God can use anyone. So if you think that, well, you and I are not that strong and powerful, no, God can use you, right? Never disregard that you are weak, you are lowly, you are ordinary patron, you are not this, you are not that, you are not LG leaders, you are not, no. God can use any one of us if we are willing. Secondly, the second noble helper that Naaman met, the 贵人, is a servant who gives wise counsel. First, the slave girl shows the way. Then, the servant, his subordinate, give wise counsel. In verse 13 of 2 Kings says, Naaman's servant. Now, I like to believe that although the word, here the description is servant, and then when he addressed Naaman, he called him father. Right? I like to believe that he was his subordinate in the sense that he is assistant. In Chinese, it's called 副官. His attaché or the person that is working very, very closely. PPA or PPS, private personal secretary. Okay? Only minister, prime minister rank got PPS. Okay? probably PPS, So this is the guy. And he said to him, my father, if the prophet had told you to do something great, would you not have done it? Sometimes we all men are very jialat one, especially when they play golf. Cannot play, still stand on the blue tee. We all laugh. They cannot even hit, they still want to stand on the blue tee. You ask them to stand on the white tee, like ask them to die. Ask them to stand on the gold tee, they rather wear skirt. Because I'm a man, I'm a golfer, I got every right to say. But you see, this is the problem of man. Got pride. I see, if he asks you to do great things, no problem. But he said, how much more when he tells you, just go and wash and be cleansed. Even a 3-year-old baby can do it. The simple thing in life, sometimes you feel insulted, right? We thought that, wow, if sometimes, when you receive a healing, we say that, oh, Jesus come, pray to the Lord, and then you'll be healed. Too easy, right? Too easy, right? We expect something much more difficult. We want a prescription, right? With 100 type of medicine inside. Then it can cure. But if it's a simple thing, just open your heart, accept Christ. Oh, no. Cannot be that easy. No? This subordinate told Naaman, if the prophet asks you to do great things, surely it will challenge you because you are the commander-in-chief. You have seen many things in life. You have faced many wars, right? You're not even afraid of all the arsenals that your enemy are pointing at you. What else you are afraid in life? He has no fear. He's a man that is very likely no fear, right? So if you give him a challenge, very likely he will perform. But this is too simple and maybe insult to his intelligence. Go and wash and be cleansed. A bit ridiculous, right? See, subordinate may not be inferior. Let me say this. You are subordinate, doesn't mean that you are inferior. You know that President Biden, once upon a time, was subordinate to who? If I'm not wrong, it's Clinton or somebody. I think Clinton, if I'm not wrong. He's the vice president, right? Vice president. Obama or Clinton? Obama, okay. American president, too many, I cannot remember. And many of these presidents, they were once upon a time subordinate. But then ultimately, they assume the top job. So never think that subordinates are inferior. They are not inferior. If you are in the top job, it just happened that you and I are born a few years earlier, that's all. Nothing more. Give them some more years, they will be just as good, if not better. Right? So you look at subordinate. You may think that you are subordinate, and God cannot use you. Oh, God used the subordinate to really counsel the master. Subordinate counseling the superior. If he asks you to do something fantastic, difficult, you will not even, I know you through and through. But ask you to do something simple, you feel insulted. See, what was a fantastic advice, you don't know? So never look at us, even if we are subordinate, and think that we are inferior. No, subordinates are not inferior. Yeah, maybe some are gundus really. Well, all things being equal, but not all subordinates are inferior. No, I never believe that. Okay? And in fact, it's good that your subordinate one day will be better than you. Right? What's so great that if your subordinate are all the time worse off than you? You will have no hope. So he talked Naaman out of his pride. He was wise and he thinks clearly. Now, how about that? See, if God can send such people along our way to point us the way, I think that's fantastic, right? So next time when someone gives us some counsel, give us some advice, never look at, oh, you are my subordinate, oh, you are this, you are that, or you are the maidservant. No. For all you know that these are the mouthpiece that God sent to help us, to bless us. And Naaman met his. Without him, in fact, he is the one who, if I will paraphrase what he said, if the master had asked you to do something great, I believe you will do it. But now he asks you to go and wash and be cleansed, and you want to go home empty-handed. Right? If I may paraphrase it. So Naaman almost went home empty-handed, if not because of this subordinate. This is the noble helper. The third one, the prophet obviously is Elisha. Now see, Elijah is also very, very important in this whole episode, right? See, a prophet that reveals a savior and also a healer. Now obviously the savior part, the Bible did not clearly describe, right? But I think we have to look at the conclusion, look at the development of the whole episode, then we can say that he has showed Naaman who the true God is. And he is also the healer. I mean, not that he heals, but he literally told Naaman what to do. But talking about that, heals. I remember that when I was conducting the healing seminar, Jesus never asked us to go and pray for the sick. Jesus asked us to go and heal the sick. Okay? The word there is heal, not pray. So even if it's healer, nothing wrong. Not that after we so to speak, heal people, then we feel very proud. No, not necessary. But really the mindset is different. Sometimes when we say pray, we also kiasu. You know why not? We buy insurance. As you bo heal, as you got a taisi lo. Then heal, share some glory lo. No, but if you are the one to heal, if the person is not, you will go back and fast and pray again. Right, wrong? The responsibility is not the same. So, look at this prophet. 2 Kings 5:10 says, welcome to Petra. How come 5:10 is welcome to Petra? Oh, I pressed the wrong one, is it? Okay, let me read for you. 2 Kings 5. Elisha sent a messenger to him. Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan and your flesh will be restored and you will be cleansed. You know, I think Elisha, this guy a bit very jialat leh. Wait, no, not jialat. Naaman thought that when he came to Elisha's house, Elisha will, courtesy, protocol. He will come out and welcome, right? Hey, you see, this is, you look at the protocol. First, the king wrote a letter to the king. Right? This is protocol. Now imagine, if the king did not write a letter to the king, and then the commander-in-chief of a foreign land bring his escort and come to Israel directly, you start a war immediately. So there's protocol. So the king wrote a letter to the king to tell the king, hey, I'm sending my guy here to do this. So don't get excited, okay? Don't get excited. Because you have to fight, you will lose also. Don't get excited, okay? So protocol. And now, having enjoyed having seen the king, the next day he came to Elisha's house. Now, his status demand better reception, right? See, just now I was talking to Richard about wedding, invitation. Now, you think about wedding, you think about red carpet. Right, no? Why wedding then red carpet? No, because 一生人一次而已. Only one time in life you walk the red carpet. I hope don't walk too many times. So one time better be red carpet. Because that's the protocol. The whole wedding is on the couple, not the bridesmaid. Not the best man. So two of them don't try to outperform the two main characters. Right? So they are the main character. This is protocol. So when you go wedding, don't dress until you look prettier than the bride. Okay? Let me give you one advice. He came to Elisha's house. You don't think that Elisha doesn't know protocol? But Elisha did not even bother to come and welcome him. Elisha was sitting at his, don't know where, maybe his prayer closet. And then told a messenger, go out and tell him, go to River Jordan, go and jump in 7 times. Dip 7 times. Oh, I tell you, Naaman was furious. So, Elisha is the third noble messenger. Sometimes God's messenger can be a pastor, can be a godly leader, can be your church mate, can be someone close to you. Okay? Not necessarily must be in the form of Elisha or a prophet. And God can send anyone actually. See, Naaman's boss recommend him to Israel king, but Israel king isn't godly and connect to the wrong source. Now, he is connected, is almost connected to the right source, right? The prophet of God. Because the prophet of God has the right source. And he's in the right place now. And today, I don't know, if you, for whatever reason or online, you have not accepted Christ yet, you are in the right place. Because we are all connected to the right source. Okay? If you are connected to the wrong source, sorry, nothing will happen. So, Elisha. And Elisha became the third blessed person in Naaman's life. Now, obviously, you look at Naaman. Naaman received his healing, right? I think, actually, there are a lot of things to talk about this story. This is a very interesting story. That's why I encourage you to go and listen to Pastor Ray's Chinese version. Right? His version is the other side of the coin. Right? And you enjoy the full flavor. Right? But you don't understand, then ask someone to interpret for you. Fourthly, Naaman received healing and worshiped God. Right? Now, Naaman firstly was healed. How he was healed? So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. Now, obviously, we can dramatize it. He jumped in 1 time, came out, nothing happened. Jumped in 2 times, come out, never happened. Then I think each time he jumped in, become more pressurizing. Is it not true? Each time. First time, okay. Second time, wah, jialat. I tell you, golfer problem again. The putt, 20 feet, we putt, cannot go in. He missed the hole, pass 6 feet. We putt second time, still miss the hole, now 2 feet. Second putt. Putt again, cannot go in. Third putt, now left 4 inches. Putt also cannot go in. You know that each putt become more pressurizing? More pressurizing? The 20 feet one very easy, like who can go in 20 feet? No one can go in, so we all safe face. But 4 inches? Don't know how to explain. So he did 6 times. Now imagine if he did it 6 times, and then after that come out, it's still leprosy. Right? Will you jump in the 7th time? Now see, when we read, sounds very easy, right? Jump in 7 times. Sounds very easy because everything is compressed into one statement. But in real life, it's not, Imagine you go to a church service and expect God to solve a problem. You pray to the Lord, and then, you expect God to answer. You pray 1 time, no answer. Pray 2 times, no answer. 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Will you do the 7th time? Now, you see, here is the test. Naaman, finally, 7 times. Now, there were obstacles actually in Naaman's healing. Right? There were obstacles. Because at one point, he turned back. Why? Because Elisha asked him to go of all rivers, must be Jordan. If you have visited Israel before, Jordan River at different places looks different, okay? Sometimes it's so shallow, you can use a teaspoon and then finish off all the water. Because it depends where you are. And it's not known to be a clean one. And that's why Naaman was furious. In Damascus, we have 2 cleaner rivers. You mean to say that if river water can help, my country rivers can help, right? So he was insulted. And there are 3 things actually that can cause us, that become obstacle to what we want fulfilled in our life. 1, pride. Pride. 2nd is fear. 3rd is unbelief. See, a man of importance came from a superior country with superior technology, maybe everything superior, culture, etc., etc. And then now you ask him to wash in the river. Pride. Pride, right? Sometimes when you come to God, especially when you come into the very presence of God, there are times we have to put our pride down. Right? 2nd, fear. Now, you can become a laughing stock, right? After you jump in 7 times, come out still the same. Tomorrow, TikTok. Not newspaper, TikTok. Flash in TikTok. Right? Whole world know. It can be very embarrassing. And it's the same, because when you come to God and we pray for the sick, etc., etc., sometimes they have this fear. Like, what happened if it didn't happen? And then everybody sees. Fear. It will become a laughing stock. Unbelief. It means so simple. Dipping 7 times. Because he must have done his research, right? Leprosy is not done by dipping in the river 7 times. And can you believe something so ridiculous, so to speak? But then God uses uses things that is out of the world sometimes to minister to us, right? To actualize the miracles. Well, he felt that there is a better way to cure his leprosy. And he thinks maybe this is too simplistic. And this is the problem. Right? Sometimes we think that it's too simple to solve a problem. And we want something more complicated. And then we will fail to comply. But then when Naaman obeyed and complied, then he received his healing. Now, the rest is history. Like the Bible says, he came out and then his skin was like baby's. You know baby skin? I know if you see a baby, there is a 1 year or 1.5 years under. You see the baby, there is something that you cannot resist. You know what? You want to chut-chut. You want to touch. Because the skin is so smooth, right? And smells so good. Old hack like me, you want to touch? Look like sandpaper. Right? But the baby, young, you always, if not in church, last time they carry baby, then I tell you, if you sit behind one of these, wow, you get distracted. You do. That's why we ban baby in main service, because they distract the adult. Then they are so cute, Hey, the skin is like the baby. God's healing is so total, complete. This is what God can do. But it's when Naaman learned to obey God, he was healed. Now, I think healing can be simple, not necessarily be complicated. It can be simple, right? Because it's supernatural. And best of all, free of charge, right? Secondly, Naaman worshiped God. He worshiped God. 2 Kings 17 said this, 5:17. Said Naaman, please let me, your servant, be given as much earth as a pair of mules can carry, for your servant will never again make burnt offerings and sacrifices to any other god but the Lord. Now, obviously, it's obvious, right? He now wants to worship the true God, not any other gods in Syria. Syria had many gods. Not only that, he wants to build altars. And you know something? He wants the earth from Israel to build his altar. He doesn't want his altar to be built by the earth in Syria. Some years ago I visited Israel. That was my first time. I did not buy a lot of souvenirs. People go to Israel buy a lot of souvenirs, right? No? So, but anyway, I tell you what I bought. I bought olive oil. Must buy. If you cannot afford anointing, at least can use for cooking. I went to Cana, the church. I bought a lamb, the earthen lamb, because the miracle that Jesus performed, Cana, because I always believe that we turn wine into water. Turn water into wine. So I bought that. And I bought the other thing that you can touch, when you enter the house. Ken has one. So when you go and visit Ken, please touch before you enter. Receive the blessing. Okay, I bought this thing. But you know what I did? Every place I go, I went and pick stone. I went to Mount Nebo, Jesus' tomb, there are many sites, right? Everywhere, I went and picked stone. I brought it home. Actually, I wanted to put it into a jar. When I pray, I'm going to hold the jar. Because I read this part. And not superstitious, not superstitious. Actually, I got a new idea. When I'm freer, I will ground all the stone and make into a cross. Okay? So next time when you go to Israel, don't just pick some stone, go home like Naaman. Okay? We don't build altar, but we can make cross. So you see, it's significant. I think that you have a cross and you know that the cross is made from all the stone from Israel. Not bad, right? Not bad, right? So he knows how to worship God. He wants to worship God. And he truly wants to worship God. You see, Naaman received his healing. Then he turned to accept God. And then he wanted to build an altar. Now see, after we receive healing, do we really want to worship God? That's another question we want to ask. And he want no other material but except the material from Israel. Now, I believe that this asking of material demonstrates the genuineness, how genuine he was. One thing, that his conversion is genuine, right? It just indicates that he is genuine. He truly converted, no question about that. And lastly, healing, gratefulness, and responsibility. Sometimes when we receive goodness from the Lord, right? We all want goodness. We all want blessing, right? But some people want the gift, but not the giver. They only want the gift, but never the giver. So when they receive what they had come for, they never show up again. Because they just want the gift, but not the giver. They want the healing, they want the blessing, but not embracing God. However, Naaman is different. Naaman was grateful. I think this is important. It took a heathen. In fact, he came from a heathen background, right? It took a heathen to show us how to be grateful to God. So do not think that others cannot show us the way. There are many, many good people, very exemplary life, that's not in the church yet, right? That we can actually learn something sometimes. But obviously, a lot of good examples are coming from the church. It must be the natural place, right? If outside got more than the church, something is wrong. Right? The church must have more than what is outside, right? So Naaman showed us that he was grateful, and he sincerely wants to worship the Lord, and he reject all other gods. You see, as a young believer, actually Naaman displays spiritual maturity. I did not put the verses here, but actually verses 17 and 18, right? Or rather 18, 19, right? Say this. He says, "May the Lord forgive your servant for this one thing. When my master enters the temple of Rimmon to bow down, and he is leaning on my arm, and I have to bow there also. When I bow down in the temple of Rimmon, may the Lord forgive your servant for this." And then Elisha answered, "Go in peace," Elisha said. See, Naaman at that stage, he understands what is private and what is public responsibility. You see the kind of maturity actually he showed. And I shared this before actually, I think more than a year ago when I came to, you all invited me about the HG run, I shared this before. See, that as a Christian, we do have public responsibility and we do have private responsibility, right? Insofar as how we practice our faith. Because for Naaman, he was the so-called number 2 man in his country. And the king, when he annually performed this worship, he has to accompany the king. And the king will be holding on his hand to walk into the temple. And he declared that he would have to bow down. And his bowing down is not just what? No. His bowing down is very significant. This bowing down is not just, stand there for a show. In short, he is, in a way, worshipping, That's serious. And then you see, he has this clarity of mind, and he has this sensitivity, and he straight away asked Elisha. You see, these are bright people, right? Like immediately he said, once a year I must do this. Please forgive me, because I have to do it. This is his public responsibility. That's the difference between public responsibility and private responsibility. I read of important people because of the stature, their position, they may have to sometimes visit religious places that is outside their own their own conviction. And sometimes they say, no, I will not. See, I'm not to criticize them. I'm not trying to say that. If they understand what is private responsibility and what is public responsibility, if you understand that, then you'll be like Naaman. You'll be like Naaman. Right? If not, you can still look very good, very pure Christian. I wouldn't want to enter into anything that is not so-called Christianity, then you should not go up to a bus, because the driver is not Christian. You must not go up to the MRT, because a lot of people breathe the air, non-Christian air, and then you inhale. Right? You jump into a taxi, and then you see this guy smiling at you. Then you jump out of the taxi, you are late for work already. So sometimes we have to understand, there's a difference. But privately, I think we know when we have a choice and we can make a conviction, then we must know how to display our conviction and not to stumble people. See, Naaman actually gave us a very good example. And today, I hope that while we very quickly survey the healing of Naaman, I think we learn a few lessons. Right? That God does send 贵人, people into our life. And what we need to do is this. While man may come to the end, but with God, it is just the beginning. If today you have come to your end, I just want to let you know that you have just begun. It's not the end yet, right? Secondly, God does send good people, noble helpers, to come along our path to show us the way. And they may hail from different strata of society, of, our circle of friends, etc. And they are God's angel. They are God's angel. So listen carefully to what they say. Right? Listen very carefully to what they say, because we talk about hearing from God. Right? Hearing from God, not necessarily all the time I see vision, see television. No. God can use man. God can use the so-called the divine helper to come and show us the way. Point us to us the sensitive part or whatever we need to do. If Naaman rejects the servant maid, if Naaman rejects the subordinate, if Naaman rejects Elisha, would he be healed and found salvation? Answer is no. So, in my conclusion, when you enter into the treasury, don't go away empty-handed. 多多少少都拿一点。不要空手回家。Today you are here, also don't go away empty-handed. Grab some blessing, then go home. Okay? And talking about that, we're going to do I want to pray for those people perhaps with needs. Perhaps today you have sickness. And Naaman's episode is a good encouragement for us all. Like God is still the healer. Amen? God heals.